Hey folks, and welcome to CarStarz' 10 Cool Facts About Bo's 57 Chevy in the 1975 film Return to Macon County. Fact number 1. When director Richard Compton asked for a period hot rod for their 1958 year set film, American International Pictures had the crew source two matching 1957 Chevrolet 210 two-door Sport Coupe hardtops to portray the film's main character's vehicle. Choosing the 210 hardtop over other 57 trims kept costs down a bit and reduced the amount of bright work that the art department would need to mask or remove later as well. Contemporary coverage confirms the pair and consistently refers to them as 210 models rather than the somewhat more elaborate Bel Air trim. Having two near-identical Chevys on the call sheet allowed production to split duties. One car was deemed the stunt car and handled high-speed and stunt sequences, while its nearly identical twin hero car was reserved for the hood-up inserts and other close-up shots. Prop master Pat O'Connor and his assistant Greg Bilson, who would go on to found Independent Studio Services, had barely 6 weeks to turn the two cars into unique and memorable hot rods, which we'll get into more of the details of a bit later on. Fact number 2. As for what powered these bright banana yellow rides, the 257 Chevys actually just ran their stock Rochester mechanical fuel-injected 283 V8s, putting out around 283 gross horsepower to 3-speed manual transmissions. Now I know what you're thinking, but what about the supercharger and all of that other gleaming chrome hardware we see under the hood? Well, that Paxton centrifugal blower we see in the under-the-hood shots wasn't actually hooked up to anything and doesn't even have a belt on it, as we can plainly see here. Look closer, and the whole setup lacks brackets, plumbing, and a number of other pieces that a functional Paxton blower would require. In short, its dressing was only for cinematic effect, just a bit of underhood theater gloss that lets Don Johnson's character, the mechanic Harley, flip the hood for the camera and brag about his work, while in reality, the small block beneath all the chrome remains just as stock as the day it left the assembly line. Continuing the non-functional performance upgrades illusion, the polished compressor housing and chrome sheet metal pressure box, which appears to be labeled with a fictional brand name of Headwell Ferdien, and the twin ignition coils perched in a Niehoff bracket were all installed just to look custom, mysterious, and intimidating, but nothing more. So, yeah, that 8.7 second quarter-mile time exclaimed within the film was quite laughable indeed. Fact number 3. The 1957 Chevrolet crowned GM's Tri-5 Trio, 1955 to 57, and quickly became an American icon. Freshly styled, it wore crisp tail fins capped by anodized aluminum trim and a Ferrari-inspired open egg crate grille. Under the hood, buyers could still get the faithful 235 Blue Flame 6, but Chevrolet's new small block V8, now 283 cubic inches, stole the show. Optional Rochester ramjet fuel injection, 1 horsepower per cubic inch, made the 57 the first mass production car in the U.S. to hit 283 gross horsepower right off the showroom floor. Chevrolet marketed the car in 3 basic series, 150, 210, and Bel Air. The fleet-oriented 150 wore minimal bright work, rubber floor mats, and plain interiors, perfect for police or taxi duties. The mid-level 210 added stainless side spears, two-tone paint brakes, and upgraded cloth and vinyl trim, an inexpensive way to dress up a family sedan or hardtop. The most premium option, the Bel Air, dazzled with gold anodized grille inserts, chrome quarter panel rockets, full carpet, and embossed vinyl seat bolsters. Across these trims, Chevrolet offered nearly every body style imaginable: 2- and 4-door sedans, pillarless sport coupes, convertibles, wagons, and the seldom-seen sedan delivery. That breadth let Chevy move more than 1.5 million cars for the 1957 model year, cementing the design as a cultural touchstone, equally at home pounding quarter miles at the drag strip, grocery runs, daily work travel, and eventually starring in great films. Fact number 4. The in-movie mentioned custom injection system is pure showmanship. When the dash-mounted toggle is flipped, the practical effects rig shoots a bit of fire from the Chevy's dual exhaust, persuading every on-screen rival that the car is heavily modified and hinting to modern audiences that the car is nitrous injected. However, in reality, there is no additional plumbing on the small block beyond its just-for-show Paxton blower, so no nitrous system was ever actually hooked up. However, that fictional flourish being so mysterious to rivals actually makes sense in a story set in 1958. This is because nitrous systems used for automotive performance purposes had barely left the laboratory at that point in time. The Luftwaffe's GM-1 program proved the concept in World War II aircraft, but the first well-documented drag race experiment didn't happen until 1961 at Famoso Raceway, and it remained an underground trick through most of the 60s. Only when Mike Thermos and Dale Vaznian founded Nitrous Oxide Systems, NOS, in 1978 did bottled nitrous really become a well-known power adder. So in that sense, this 1975 film was still a bit of a preview of what was soon to hit the mainstream drag racing world. Fact number 5. As for the aesthetic mods that made the 257 Chevys unique for the film, the production crew wanted a hot rod that really stood out on screen, so both were sprayed in an attention-grabbing banana yellow base coat, then finished with hand-painted orange flames that curl over the hood and front fenders. To give the paint the loudest voice possible, they shaved nearly all factory brightwork and even deleted the center chrome grille insert, leaving a gaping, blacked-out mouth that made the Chevy look half dragster and half street bruiser. They doubled down on the rough and ready aesthetic by retaining only essential chrome. The bumpers stayed on for period streetcar authenticity, but stripping most of the trim work successfully brought the more gritty appeal they were seeking. Low-slung dual exhaust tips peaked just beyond the bumper ends, era-correct Blackwall bias tires, and simple steel wheels. Inside, the originally black interiors received a diner booth makeover, so to speak, with white tuck-and-roll vinyl upholstery that popped against the yellow exterior. Added to the dashboard were a few extra gauges, and of course the dash-mounted toggle switch for engaging the cinematic injection boost, wired to trigger exhaust pyrotechnics on cue. The result was a pair of mid-level Chevys transformed into unmistakable screen stars, equal parts 1950s hot rod tradition and 1970s B-movie bravado. Fact number 6. Spotting which car, hero, or stunt that you're looking at in any given scene isn't too difficult once you know what to look for. Take a glance at the grille on any front-end shot, and you may notice that one Chevy, the hero car, sports custom chrome radiator supports glinting through the opening, while the stunt car has nothing but a dark, gaping mouth. That gleam of chrome is the quickest telltale, but it isn't the only one. As you might expect, the hero car was also the only one of the two with the chrome-dressed engine. So every time the hood is popped and the camera catches that bright engine bay, we're also looking at the hero car. Of course, the stunt car's hood stays firmly shut throughout the film and carries a plain, stock, unpolished 283. Physical scars tell the rest of the story. After the crooked cop shoots out some of the Chevy's windows, the stunt car finishes the picture with the damaged glass, and also there's the growing body damage on the passenger side from evading the pursuing police from before that, which is exclusive to the stunt car. Unlike most films that conceal the differences between hero and stunt cars more seamlessly, these points of difference stand out quite clearly for this film's 57 Chevys. Fact number 7. When it came to stunt work, the yellow 57s were always a handful, the pizza cutter bias ply tires being the biggest culprit, which along with factory drum brakes and the stock lazy suspension, left the car skating and body rolling throughout the shoot. Drama born not so much from its horsepower, but from 1950s chassis technology battling against 1970s stunt car ambition. And that combination bit back during the first week of shooting, as stunt coordinator Terry Leonard later told the Los Angeles Times in an interview, mentioning that he lost the brakes on the stunt car early in filming and had to hit a tree to avoid a crowd while doubling behind the wheel. The incident underscored just how marginal the stock braking system was once the cameras rolled and the speeds crept up. Leonard's response was swift as production paused momentarily, while mechanics tore down the stunt car's brake hardware, reinforced critical mounts, and added extra safety rigging such as a drive shaft loop and scatter shield before any more high-speed work was cleared. Although the surviving records don't list every part that went in, crew members quoted the same and note that no further brake-related scares occurred after the overhaul, fortunately. Fact number 8. After Wrap Day, the battered stunt Chevy wasn't trucked back to Hollywood, it was instead abandoned on rural property in South Georgia. According to a former onlooker who later verified its distinctive features, such as the white tuck-and-roll interior and the flamed yellow paintwork, who stated, "It sat in the field for 25 years after filming, before anybody in the hobby ever stumbled across it." The same eyewitness noted that the weathered bodywork remaining was now chalky, rusted out, and overall in pretty poor shape, as we can see in these pics taken. Its actual recovery, however, came around 2002, when an Atlanta seller dragged the Chevy out of the weeds and advertised it locally. A hot rod enthusiast drove over, shot photos, and recognized every telltale: the toggle on the dash, camera rig bolt holes, and those unmistakable faded out flames. The pics you're seeing now are just some that I could recover online that he took. He recalls the car as pretty rough, yet undeniably the stunt car. He passed on actually purchasing it at the time, but later posted the pictures online, kicking himself for not rescuing it back then. Apparently, shortly after its recovery, the stunt Chevy showed up on eBay listed for $10,000, but records don't show if anyone actually bought it or not, and no public trace has surfaced since. Now, more than 2 decades later, the trail is cold once again. Collectors believe the stunt car slipped quietly into a private garage until another barn door opens one day, so its exact whereabouts are publicly unknown yet again. Fact number 9. As for the Hero 57 Chevy, it seemingly vanished without a paper trail after filming. Period production notes end once shooting finished in March 1975, and every later account says the car's whereabouts were unknown, just lumping it in with countless other drive-in era picture cars that slid off the radar after its film roll was completed. The Hero car's rediscovery didn't come about until nearly 40 years later in 2014, when a journalist traced it down to a rural garage in Kentucky. These photos published with the story show the Chevy pretty much the same as it appeared on screen, still wearing banana yellow paint with orange flames, and even the prop chrome hardware still present under the hood. The writer notes that, aside from surface grime and a bit of paint decay, the flamed Chevy was, for the most part, unchanged, practically a time capsule item from the set. Online forum members subsequently pinpointed the location to Russell County, Kentucky, confirming that a private collector owned the car and was keeping it stored as is and kept out of public view. No restoration or auction listing has surfaced since that 2014 reveal, and there have been no credible sightings elsewhere, so the best verified information today is that the Hero Chevy remains in that Kentucky garage, still awaiting a revival. Yet it's still considered one lucky survivor car of the 70s B-movie era, regardless. Fact number 10. Looking into the scale model world, although the film wasn't big enough of a hit for any official merchandise to be released, Tri-5 Chevys were plenty popular enough to spur lots of scale model variants across many different manufacturers. Probably the highest quality 57 Chevy 2-door Sport Coupe hardtop you'll find out there would be this nicely detailed 1/18th scale, black flamed 57 Chevy here from Ertl, although these are no longer on the retail market and can go for hundreds of dollars on the resale market. Although if a less detailed diecast is acceptable to you, Motormax makes these 1/24th scale diecast 57 Sport Coupes you can usually pick up for around $24 on the current retail market. The plastic model kit arena for 57 Chevys is also plentiful, but probably the most well-known and widely available kit would be this 1/25th scale one here from AMT that can be had for around $20. I will put links in the description below to where you can get the Motormax and AMT models for those interested. By the way, folks, I recently started a new and also film-related and similar format YouTube channel called Mind Litter. If anyone is interested in hearing more about our favorite movies and TV shows beyond just the cars, such as other behind-the-scenes info, filming locations, and actor-related tidbits and such, I will put a link in the description below for those interested in checking it out. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here. You guys are all great. See you next time.